Well, happy Aloha Friday, everyone, and welcome back to our Friday Live. And I think that our guest today, Reina, I think she's been on the Friday Live a couple times and radio show. I don't know, it seems like you've been joining us there for the last 10 years. We were just talking about that, before we got the show started. But for those of you that do not know who Reina is, she's the executive director of Hawaii HomeOwnership Center and has been with them for 16 years. And she's going to talk with us about their programs and how they can help first-time homebuyers, distressed owners, and renters. So just a lot of great programs, as well as you have, it's a nonprofit, so there's some fundraising events that are coming up too. So we'll make sure to touch on that. So welcome, Reina.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. So I think it's very important, especially, given the times with the interest rates and inflation and all this, these buzzwords that are going around. And how does the Hawaii Home Ownership Center fit into what's happening right now? How do you guys fit into the market right now?
I think we fit into the market like we would at any point in time. I think that, at any point within the last 16 years that I've been here, oh my gosh, it's so expensive to buy a home. Oh my, it's always seems like the oh my gosh type of thing. And so, but I think the dream of home ownership and the importance for those who want it is life changing. I can see that not only having a safe and stable home in terms of just having a place to put your stuff and have that sense of security, you can actually see the change in people when they attain a goal like that, and what the relief is of having a stable housing payment, and just achieving something like that is big in terms of their confidence and what we've heard happens in their careers and in their families and things like that too. So in terms of how we fit in, I think that preparing for homeownership is always a good time, even if you don't feel like you're emotionally ready or financially ready, but that's a goal for yourself. That's how we fit in. Let's talk about what's involved in it and create an action plan, getting it educated so you're ready for it too.
So you give you give some emotional support to anyone that wants to be a homeowner, that has that dream, as well as the tools and the plan on how to achieve that.
Yes.
So when somebody, decides that, okay, I'm going to sign up for these classes, what does it look like? Does it cost money? How do they, start taking the courses? What's the next step?
That's a good question. So I'll say this though, people want to check us out. They're not even sure. They hear a little bit about it. Maybe they're interested, but feel like they want more information. They always can call or go to our website, hihomeownership.org. We also offer what we call free homeownership orientations. It's a real high level overview of the home buying process, dispels some of the myths that some people have regard that hold them back from pursuing home ownership, like how much cash they actually need for a down payment, what's appropriate credit to move forward, those type of things. And it tells a little bit about how we help in the process. So a little bit about what's involved in buying a home and then how we help. So if some people wanted to check us out that way, they can. For those that say, nope, Hawaii Home Ownership Center's program is exactly what I want. Basically, they fill out an intake form. The lifetime membership fee is $60. So it's $60 per buying unit. So if I'm buying by myself, I'll make a $60 investment. But if there's 4 of us in our adult family that want to purchase a home together, or I have adult children that might not be purchasing, but they're living in the household with us, they can attend the classes with us as well. And the class is about preparing for home ownership, what I should consider financially, like money management and credit in the context of buying a home or getting financing, and then what actually happens in the transaction, getting a loan, working with a realtor, insurance, escrow. So what should I think about before all the way to getting my keys? Would be an easy way to get involved. But for those who want actual coaching, like, can I take a deep dive in where I am financially and find out if I qualify for first-time buyer programs? Maybe it's like I have 0 savings, but I really would like to talk about like how to start a plan to get there. The home ownership coaching is also available for folks who want that too.
So if we could go back to those myths that you're always myth busting about the down payment and the credit score. Let's talk about the down payment first, because I know that's a big one, especially with our price points here. People thinking, oh, I've got to save and be able to put 20% down. Tell us more about why is that untrue, and like what kind of programs are out there for first-time home buyers.
Hmm. There's some 0% down payment options. Some are for specific for veterans. So it's a VA loan, which they absolutely deserve. It's a great loan product for our veterans. There's also USDA loans, which also require no down payment. It does require the buyer to be within a certain income threshold and buy in what they deem as a rural area, but it's another opportunity. And I also tell folks that not to get too much into the weeds, but mortgage insurance is often sometimes, if people know what it is, they might think, oh, mortgage insurance is, expensive. They don't want it. But mortgage insurance can be a vehicle to get into homeownership as well with a low down payment, like 3% down payment. There's also some other down payment assistance options where you get a first and a second mortgage. So you get two loans where you can avoid mortgage insurance, which could be another affordable option. So I think for a lot of folks, they don't realize that 0 or 3, which is a single digit, versus something like 20% down payment can be possible.
Yeah, when we had talked with you on our radio show, you had mentioned some very interesting strategies on like loans that maybe, or grants that could be forgiven eventually depending on the circumstance. Let's talk about that. That was kind of an exciting thing to learn about.
So I guess before I start talking about that, I would say, I would tell first-time buyers that, it's possible some people may make too much money based on their household size and they won't qualify for first-time buyer programs. But, actually there's a range of what the income could be in terms of eligibility. So I always tell people, find out what you can qualify for, get educated about the pros and cons of each one. So at least you can tell, maybe you have some opportunities to make, you can make some decisions based on that. So I think some of the things that we talked about was that 0% interest loan. It's $40,000 by the city and county of Honolulu. So it is only for Honolulu County. But for those who are considered in the threshold of 80% or below the area median income, not only is it 0% interest on that $40,000, they actually forgive a portion of the balance each year if you're paying on time. So in a very basic explanation, I could pay over 10 years, $20,000 to pay down that loan, and then I could be forgiven the other 20 over the 10-year period.
Wow.
So
what a great program.
Yeah, it is super awesome. You still need to, learn the pros and cons, like I said, but, in a very basic sense, it's an opportunity for some
And
folks.
it could be the right fit and that vehicle to get you into home ownership.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then there's also the closing cost assistant program that I think you had mentioned it, or loan.
Yes. So it's actually a deferred closing cost loan. And it's nice because while it is a loan, it's going to have to be paid back at some point. It's deferred for 15 years or until the borrower decides to take equity out or rent out the home. They no longer occupy the property, and then they pay back the loan. If 15 years comes around and they're like, geez, that's a lot of money, I'm not ready to pay it for whatever reason, we allow them to make a request for, to pay it over a 60-month period. So it's kind of a long period of time. And I said we because actually we have a nonprofit loan affiliate that does offer that particular product. So depending on that area median income of the borrower, it can be up to $15,000 in that deferred closing cost loan.
Now, you had mentioned credit score, and I know like that can be very confusing to people, and they might think that they're like doing good things to make, a higher score, but yet they could be doing things that damage the score. So let's talk a little bit about how, your program helps people to bring that score up and be credit ready to purchase.
So education is really about teaching on like generally how does credit scoring work? So what is it? What is this credit score anyways? And then how does it work? I think what makes it more complicated nowadays is there's so many different credit scoring models too, right? You might have Credit Karma, your credit card might provide a credit score. Is that the same type of credit score that the residential lending folks use? So I think a lot of people are a little confused, but oh, my Credit Karma thing says X amount in terms of my credit score. Why is it lower when my loan officer pulled it? And I said, well, they're probably using a different credit scoring model. So this is what the mortgage lender will use. I think that in terms of like a myth, it's sometimes it's half truths of sorts. Like some people that have said, I'm going to clean up my credit before I come to the homeownership center. So they were totally right that they needed to pay down their credit card balances. It was too high. That was a good idea. But what they did was they closed the credit card after they paid it off. that was not necessarily what I would have recommended. I would have kept it open, and kept it at a zero balance, or use it, pay it off. But so in terms of good intentions, sometimes folks, when they try and do it on their own, they are well intentioned but don't necessarily see the whole picture. So the classes can allow them to have more information.
So would you say it's best, like, don't get ready to get ready, just sign up and start getting educated early, even if you know that you're not going to be quite ready just now? Like, how early? I mean, you really can't be too early. Maybe give an example. I know we had talked about it, a lady who had started and been to many classes, but share with us some success stories of people who utilized the Hawaii Homeownership Center.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before I say that, to answer your first question, like when should somebody take the class? I think, or sign up for services. If you have a dream of home ownership and you feel like, I don't know where to start, this is scary, I don't know what's involved in the process, I would say get educated now. Even if you think it's going to be 10 years from now about buying a home, or in the next 6 months, I think that it's great to get educated, because you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you feel overconfident. You're like, gosh, I had no idea about whatever, a really big piece of the purchase process. In terms of a success story, I was recently talking to one of our buyers that bought in early COVID. He closed in April of 2020. And I was actually his homeownership coach many years prior. And so, he had some student debt, some other debts that we needed to work on. So a lot of it was a long-term check-in meetings about the budget, the status, just giving us, where are you in terms of paying down your credit card debt? And sometimes it's just having someone to talk to. And there's no judgment on our part. So in terms of getting ready to get ready, we're here. We want to be part of the getting ready process.
Sounds like you're a little bit of like an accountability partner for him.
It can be. So it's really customer directed. So whatever the buyer needs or wants. So people can use our services as much or as little as they want. So if they just want to take the classes and maybe meet with us once, that's totally fine. Sometimes that's all that they need or want. Some folks find that, this is going to be a long-term process for me. It's 5 years. So for that particular buyer, over years, we check in maybe, a little bit more frequently in the beginning, every month. And then it kind of went to every quarter, sometimes spread out a little bit more. Got into a relationship. So, his spouse started participating as well, taking the classes. And, after the fact, he had shared, neither of us, he or his husband, neither of us had any kind of experience or role models in terms of managing money. We didn't have anybody to show that to us. We didn't have any examples. We didn't even know where to start for ourselves. And so he called us an intervention for himself. He said, I felt like the HHSC was an intervention. And so, just to kind of work through that goal and gain those skills that I didn't have as a young person. And so, he chugged along at that. And so when he called me to say, hey, we're going to close in April, this is in 2020, we had a little bit of a celebration, and our plans to do a testimony video got a little bit postponed, but hopefully I can share that with you another time.
I want to hear about all the equity he's already gained since 2020. He must be just thrilled that he was able to, get his home and start building equity in such an interesting time of our world.
I don't even know if he's thinking about equity, although that's very true. I think the experience of just having a home of his own, it's his, it's theirs, it's stable, it's, they can stay there for as long as they decide that they want to stay there. I mean, it's really that
monthly payment's always going to be the same.
Yes.
The only thing that might change would be like if he has maintenance fees, those could fluctuate. But for the most part, it's consistent. So a lot of the stress is removed. So that's awesome. So, Reina, I know that you guys offer additional services. I know the main focus is education with, first-time home buyers and getting people into home ownership, but you do service other types of situations. Let's touch on that briefly before we wrap things up, and then we'll end with the golf tournament, of course.
Okay, sounds good. So, home ownership in terms of having a stable home is really what we're all about. So with the pandemic, we did foreclosure prevention counseling in the last recession. We decided that we should offer it again during this time. So for homeowners who are either missing or have missed a number of their mortgage payments, or they're basically using savings and it's coming to the point where they're having a hard time making their housing payments. homeowners as well as for renters. They can actually schedule an appointment to talk to one of our staff about creating a crisis budget. If there's any resources that might be available, they can access that. For homeowners in particular, sometimes working with the lender, having some tips or having maybe some support related to that, it's available to them as well too. So if they go to our website, which is hihomeownership.org, they can, it's easy. They can also call us too, but there's a little simple form. They can just basically say, hi, I'm interested in getting some support. And then they might need to provide some additional information before that appointment.
So I know that I don't think we asked you this on the radio show. We've asked you this before because you guys track this, like how many people that you've actually been able to help into home ownership that have gone through your course. Do you have an updated number for us?
Gosh, of course where are we now?
Probably well over 1,000, I'm sure.
Oh yes, we're getting close to 3,000, but not quite there yet. But yeah, but I would still say that 65% are still considered low income home owners, like they bought a home. So I just mentioned that in case that encourages anybody that might be writing themselves out of home ownership.
So when you say low income, like let's talk about that. Give us the definition.
So we're using 80% or below the area median income as our threshold for lower income buyers.
So that represents what is the percentage of the people that are in your program? It's like more than half, right?
Oh, definitely more than half, but 65% of those who actually bought a home
over the years that we know of. That's pretty amazing. So like you guys are out there educating, hand-holding, giving like accountability, having the long-term relationship if that's needed to get people into home ownership, whether it's like a year, 5 years, 10 years. Sounds like you are with them and you stay the course until the goal is reached.
Yep. As long as they feel like they want to connect with us, they need us, then fantastic, we'll be responsive. And then even after folks become a homeowner, they're a lifetime member, so they can still call up and say, hey, I was thinking about refinancing. How do I know if that makes sense or not? Or what's a home equity line of credit? My friend said they got one, and I'm not sure if I need or want one myself. What's the pros and cons of getting one?
I know sometimes people can get kind of like caught up and be doing things that are foolish, and then they get into trouble, and next thing you know, they're missing mortgage payments. So that's great that you're there for a resource after to educate and explain, like, this is what this means, and this is how it could impact you. And here's the numbers, because I know that, like our lender that we work with, Jody over at Pacific Rim Mortgage, she does that. But not all lenders do that. They just, they'll do the refi or the HELOC and not really give them the counseling as far as like, does this make sense for you?
Yeah.
So that's another added benefit. So you guys are a nonprofit. You see it's a .org. And because you're a nonprofit, you guys are always doing some events, the golf tournament. So tell us a little bit about that and what do you need for this fundraising event?
Oh, thank you. So it's our 15th annual golf tournament that we're offering. And thanks to Team Lally for being a T sponsor again and providing some prizes too, that we really appreciate your long-term support. So it's going to be on August 25th. It's we don't have any team sponsorships left. We're grateful that we sold out, but we still are open to T sponsors. We also have what we call on-course game sponsors. If you're a golfer on and off the green, closest to the pin type games, and other sponsorship levels. And we're also looking for prizes for our golfers as well, either raffle prizes or golfer prizes for our players as well. So if anybody's interested, they can reach out. They can use our website as a good vehicle to connect with us.
Well, we will be donating a cruise for your
We're very excited about that.
Your auction, or however you want to use it. Use it for good use to bring some extra funds to the Hawaii HomeOwnership Center.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Reina, for always, having such a positive, helpful mindset and attitude, and we're grateful for you and everything that your team does for our community. And we'll see you at the golf tournament in August.
Thank you. Looking forward to that.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. So just we'll wave until the outro video goes.
Okay.